It's time to see who's overrated, who's underrated, and who's right where they need to be. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. And today we are bringing you our 2019 preseason AP Top 25 rankings analysis. And as we all know, just yesterday, the AP Top 25 poll was released, ranking these top 25 teams going into the 2019 season, which will of course kick off this Saturday with number 8 Florida taking on Miami in Orlando. So like we do every year, we're going to break down these rankings, share if we agree or disagree with them, and also share what we would change going into this 2019 season. And before we begin, it should be noted that our preseason top 25 poll that we did just a few months ago, way before these rankings were released, we got 8 teams of those 25 correct, including 7 of the first 11 teams in the real AP Top 25 rankings. So pretty impressive there. Not too bad of a stat going in. Those preseason rankings are extremely difficult to predict, always for fun, but if you can be accurate on them, it is very, very impressive. So we'll start here in the top 10, obviously the best place to start. Maybe the top 11, since that's how well we did back just a few months ago. Really, the top 4, no surprise. We actually got the top 4 right when we did our rankings a few months ago. Clemson, the reigning national champion, coming in at number 1, followed by Alabama, Georgia, and Oklahoma. All of those teams, arguably the top 4 teams in the nation. If you watched our playoff predictions, we have 3 of those teams actually making the college football playoff. Georgia just missing out on that, but really just right on the outside looking in. They're 1 win away, whether it's over Auburn, who we have them losing to, or Alabama in the SEC title game, of slipping into that top 4 and making another college football playoff appearance. Right below them, we have Ohio State at number 5 and LSU at number 6. Back in our rankings, we had the Tigers at number 5 and Ohio State at number 6. So a little interchangeable there. Justin Fields just now being named the quarterback for the Buckeyes. There was a bit of a quarterback battle going on there, even though most people knew it was going to be Fields. But Ryan Day just recently making that announcement. But the Buckeyes getting the nod at number 5, LSU at number 6. And I'm going to go on record and say that those two teams were to face off right now. I believe the Tigers would win. Obviously, the strength being their defense, their secondary, and a much improved quarterback situation with Joe Burrow entering year 2, and an offense that should finally be one of the best that we've seen in recent years from LSU. Michigan, Florida, Notre Dame, Texas round out your top 10. All teams that we did have in our top 10. We had Florida at number 8. We had Texas at number 10. We had Michigan at 7, and we had Notre Dame at 9, I believe. That's where, or Michigan at 9, Notre Dame at 7 back in our original rankings. These two teams, of course, going to face off in the regular season this year, so it'll be very exciting to watch. Major college football playoff implications there. But really, there's no discrepancies in these top 10. I think all of these are legit top 10 teams, arguably all college football playoff contenders going into 2019. Don't have any issues there. And I don't have any issues with Oregon being at number 11 either. That's exactly where we had them when we did our rankings just a few months ago as well. So the Ducks getting in the 11th spot, and a very intriguing matchup to kick off week 1. The number 11 Oregon Ducks taking on the 16th ranked Auburn Tigers, a rematch of that 2010 national championship game. So very exciting matchup there. The AP poll always trying to find ways to make week 1 more exciting. While I don't believe Auburn should be ranked as high as 16th, that makes that matchup just a little bit more appealing to the eye, having a nearly top 15 showdown to kick off the season. Coming over here into the second column, we'll start going through 12 through 22. Texas A&M getting the nod at the 12th spot, so it is right outside the top 10. Big expectations from Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies this year, but can they live up to the hype? Can they live up to those expectations with such a difficult schedule? One of the top 5 toughest schedules in the entire nation. They have the liberty of playing all 3 of the top 3 teams in the nation this year, at least to kick off the season. They have to go to Clemson, they have to go to Georgia, and of course the Aggies host Alabama, I believe right at the beginning of October. So not the most favorable schedule for Texas A&M, but if they can win those games, 12 is a very favorable spot to start. They could be in contention for the college football playoff if they can pull off a handful of upsets. Washington and Utah coming in at 13 and 14 back-to-back, and I do agree with that. I think that's a great spot for the Huskies and the Utes. We had Washington originally at 12, and we actually had Utah all the way down at 17, so the Utes getting a couple spots ahead of what we had them at. The Utes, of course, going to be the favorite in the Pac-12 South, maybe the favorite in the Pac-12 period, although I think for many people that would be Oregon down here at number 11. But Washington and Utah will, of course, face off in the regular season, and if you look at our prediction, we have them facing off once again in the Pac-12 championship game. So the Pac-12 elites with Oregon, Washington, and Utah obviously going to be all in a tight race to see for Oregon and Washington who can win the North, and for Utah, can they break through and win the entire conference. We have Penn State coming in at 15th, and a lot of people want to immediately write off the Nittany Lions, saying that they shouldn't even be in the top 25, or that they should be maybe down anywhere between 20th to 25th. And those people just simply don't know what they're talking about. Despite what Penn State lost last year, losing Trace McSorley, losing Sanders at running back, losing some people in the transfer portal, not doing so great on the recruiting trail, Penn State and James Franklin are still going to be competitive and one of the best teams in the Big Ten this season. And with Sean Clifford coming in at quarterback, a guy that I don't think people have done enough research on, are immediately writing him off because, man, he might not live up to Trace McSorley's hype and his numbers yet in year one, but I think he's very good backup for them, very suitable quarterback for the Nittany Lions. They'll be just fine. 15th, kind of right in the middle, a perfect spot for them to kick off this season. Auburn, as we mentioned, coming in at number 16, a team that has major questions going into this season. Quarterback battle between Joey Gatewood, Bo Nix, and of course, the defensive line, one of the best in the entire nation, but can the quarterback battle, can the offense get going with Gus Malzahn now returning to calling the plays? Can he lead Auburn to an upset win over Oregon in week one, and then maybe make a run to the SEC title or be an SEC title contender, much like he did 2 years ago when Auburn faced a very similar schedule? So the Tigers getting the odd at number 16. UCF, the lone group of 5 team in these top 25 rankings, coming in at number 17. Also a team that faces some questions this year going into 2019, mostly due to the fact that they're going to have Brandon Wimbush coming in at quarterback. We know Mackenzie Milton not playing, and at least for the start of the season, Daryl Mack's not going to be playing, so it's going to be Brandon Wimbush, the transfer from the 9th-ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So a very respectable spot for UCF, and a much more favorable schedule if they're looking to try to go undefeated and try to make their case for the college football playoff. They have a game against Stanford, who starts off the season at 25. They have a game against Pittsburgh, and of course, a slate in the American Athletic Conference that continues to get stronger every single year. So a respectable spot for the Knights. So really, if you look, we've gone through 17 rankings, and we don't have many discrepancies. We don't have many disagreements. You saw, we mentioned a couple of the discrepancies from when we ranked them a few months ago, but there weren't that many big differences. The biggest discrepancy I have, the biggest disagreement I have, comes right here at number 18. Michigan State. Coming in at 18th over the likes of Wisconsin, Iowa, Iowa State, even Syracuse, a team that won 10 games last year, and I know loses Eric Dungy, but brings in Tommy DeVito, who we've seen enough of to know that he's a very capable quarterback and could very well lead Syracuse to another 9 or 10 win season in 2019. Michigan State went 7-6 last year, lost their bowl game to Oregon 7-6, and somehow gets the nod at number 18 over the likes of these teams that I know, and the likes of Wisconsin was not that impressive last year. Iowa winning, I believe it was 9 games last year. Iowa State also being a threat in the Big 12 and returning so much talent. The reason Michigan State is up here right now is probably because of the amount of talent they do return. They returned 17 starters this year. They're hoping to get better quarterback play out of Brian Lewerke. Their defense could be arguably the best in the Big Ten, one of the best in the Big Ten. But to put them at 18th over these likes of these teams, I disagree with completely. I didn't even have them ranked when we did our rankings a few months ago. If they deserve to be ranked, they should be somewhere up here in these top 3 between 23 and 25. So AP Poll making a little bit of a statement. Every year, there's that one team, the one that has to send shockwaves to get people to talk about these polls because some people don't care about them. And these rankings right here, like Michigan State, are the reason that people do talk about them. They had to throw something in there to make them relevant. Michigan State is the reason why. Wisconsin coming in at 19th. We had them at 23 just a few months ago, so not too big of a difference there. Iowa, we didn't have ranked, but we nearly did. We nearly put them in at 25th or 24th, but the Hawkeyes getting the 20th spot here over their rival in Iowa State. Personally, I would flip those. Iowa State, I think this year returns more talent than Iowa, and I know Hawkeyes fans are going to get angry about that. This wide open Big Ten West, people think, Wisconsin could win it, Iowa could win it, Nebraska could win it at 24. So wide open. And while Iowa does return plenty of talent, Iowa State, I think, returns just a little bit more. Brock Purdy back at quarterback, that crew of wide receivers, and a defense that returns 8 starters and will be even better under Matt Campbell again this season. So I would switch those right there, but Iowa and Iowa State will face off fairly early on in the season, so we'll get a true test to see who really is better. Syracuse sitting here at number 22. We mentioned them a few minutes ago, how even though they lose Eric Dungy, they're still going to be relevant in the top 25, relevant in the ACC this season. 22, a good spot for them, even though we had them a lot higher at 16th a few months ago. But not too bad for the Orange. Hopefully Dino Babers can keep the ball rolling. And if they can win their first couple of games, I believe it's against Liberty, and I believe it's against Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, then they will have a potential top 15 showdown between Clemson and Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. So that's going to be a major game, biggest Week 3 game by far. And then rounding out the top 25, Washington State, Nebraska, and Stanford. We had Washington State at 21st, so 23 is not that big of a deal. And we had Stanford right at 25, so it's a perfect fitting for them. Nebraska is the only team that we have questions about. And if you watched our predictions, you know that we're high on Nebraska this year. You know that we had them going 10-2 and making the Big Ten championship game. But I even said it back when we did our preseason predictions or our preseason rankings back in June that I don't think Nebraska deserves to be ranked. I don't think any team that finishes the season 4-8, regardless of how much talent you return, deserves to be ranked to kick off the season. No matter how much hype you're surrounding, no matter how much talent you bring back, they don't deserve to be ranked. Even though they're 24th, they should be on the outside looking in for now. You win in week 1, maybe they put you in, but not to kick off the season. I disagree with Nebraska being in there. I think they should have put a team in there such as Northwestern, Missouri, Army, or even Virginia, who finished the season on a high note and returns plenty of talent and is a legitimate threat in the ACC Coastal this year. But nonetheless, the Cornhuskers got the 24th spot. They're in the rankings. Can Scott Frost and Nebraska live up to the hype in 2019? So all in all, we do have a few disagreements, but not too many. The AP poll finally got it somewhat right, the majority of it right, going into a brand new season of college football. The Big Ten led the way, if you haven't figured it out already. The Big Ten led the way with 7 representatives in this top 25, with 2 teams in the top 10. Right behind them, of course, is the SEC, 6 representatives in the top 25, but 4 in the top 10. So they're doubling the amount of Big Ten teams. Third would be the Pac-12 with 5 teams. Fourth would be the Big 12 with 3 teams. And fifth would be the ACC with just 2 teams in this top 25. And then 1 representative from the Independents, being Notre Dame, and 1 representative from the Group of 5, being Central Florida. So a very diverse top 25 going into 2019. But as we all know, the way these rankings look now, they will look nothing of the sorts by the end of the season. Of course, by November, we're going to be looking at college football playoff rankings and not the AP poll. But these rankings matter because not only do they affect the college football playoff rankings, but they're the rankings we're going to have to go off of all the way up until November when we get those first rankings out from the committee. So the AP Top 25 poll released just yesterday. You've got our take on it. What do you have to say? Leave your discussion, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get ready for a brand new season of college football kicking off this Saturday between Florida and Miami. So guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And of course, visit our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter. We've already sent out one. You don't want to miss any more. And also, sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. Join our team. Sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And once again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.